Aloha everybody and welcome to part 4 of Double Dragon Neon, and in the last part we got knocked unconscious by an exploding tank and now we're in some kind of lab.
Oh man! More like science unfair.
Whew. Oh Billy, that joke, that was something else.
What is this? Some kind of lab?
Yes, we are in some kind of lab. But before we move on with this level, I'm actually going to keep hitting this punching bag over here because, you know, we've been unconscious for a while. Billy's been lying on the steel grating. I feel like he's got to whip himself up into shape. He's got to get strong again because he's just been so tired and he needs to work up some energy, you know? No, Power Glove, I will not move to the right like you want me to do. I respect you, Power Glove. I mean, you're so bad. But we gotta hit this punching bag some more. We gotta exercise. We gotta beat the bag, okay? There we go. So that sound that just triggered happens when you punch the punching bag 87 times. It's in reference to the fact that Double Dragon came out in 1987. In fact, the container you were in was referring to a specimen 1987. And now we're in this entirely optional area that if you didn't hit the punching bag 87 times, you wouldn't have seen. And obviously things are looking a little bit different right now. Everyone's face looks different. Everyone's face is not what we're used to. Oh my god, the hover bizzles have heads too! That head is actually a model of Yoshihisa Kishimoto, the creator and designer of the original Double Dragon. So, when you punch the punching bag 87 times, all the Abobos, all the Williams, all the hover bizzles, Billy and Jimmy themselves will look like the creator of Double Dragon for a little bit. Until we get to the end of this section. Again, this is a completely optional Easter egg that only appears when you hit the bag 87 times. You only really get an achievement for going through this area, and I guess some extra money for beating up all the thugs, and they'll drop money every now and then, you know. And mixtapes. Look, I got another power gambit. I got stronger. Yeah! But you'll find a whole bunch of cash, a whole bunch of power-ups in these sections, and you'll get an achievement for doing it. But I like the fact that WayForward came up with all these different Easter eggs and stuff, you know? Like, most players won't keep hitting the punching bag. They'll just completely miss out on this. But, you know, hey, let's pay tribute to the guy who created Double Dragon in the first place. Let's have a section where you have to dodge a whole bunch of weird rockets while these platforms are crumbling. Ugh, this is probably the hardest platforming segment in the whole entire game. It just takes very specific timing. But one little nick from those rockets and you'll go falling back and taking time getting up, and then the falling platforms won't sustain you and you'll just go down with them and lose some health. And I got another power gambit, so I'm even more stronger. More power, more power! I'm sorry, I'm crazy. I know. I'm kooky! As you can see, Fuzzface is still following us. So some people might be asking, like, Clement, you can beat this game on its regular difficulty. There's the achievement you get, and now we just play the level like normal. But, if I get 10 power gambits, why in the hell am I doing so well, and I'm way past the halfway point? Hi, Roxy. But I'm way past the halfway point, and I've only got like 6 or 7 power gambits, and I'm still doing really, really well. Why the hell would I upgrade to 20 power gambits, or 30 power gambits, or 40, or 50, that I make this difficulty completely a joke, that I just punch out people in one hit? That's because this game kind of encourages you to do multiple playthroughs of Double Dragon Neon, and when the game started up, there were 3 difficulties, but I couldn't select the other 2. There's normal mode, which is what I'm playing, because that's the only thing I can play when you start up the game. And then there's Dragon mode and Double Dragon mode. Dragon mode is basically hard mode, and Double Dragon mode is like the Billy Must Die expert difficulty, which it sounds a lot worse than I'm making it out, but even with like the 50 mixtapes to like boost your defense, boost your attack, or whatever, it's very easy to die in Double Dragon mode. You know, you're actually very much encouraged to play with a friend in Double Dragon mode because everybody can kill you so quickly in that difficulty that you really got to watch out. But there is a benefit to playing the game on harder difficulties. When you defeat bosses in normal mode, they only drop 3 pieces of mithril. And when you want to upgrade things to like 20, 30, 40, 50 mixtapes, it does start to add up after a while, and you'll have to replay levels over and over and over and over again in order to get mithril to, you know, upgrade your mixtapes. And that always just has me going back, fighting Skullmageddon again, fighting the giant tank again, fighting the boss we'll be seeing at the end of this video again, which means going through the level again. But,
It's high time we see if our little project will... right there! Anyway, face your doom!
Oh, Skullmageddon, you're so funny. But, what was I saying? Something about Dragon and Double Dragon mode. If you beat the bosses in Dragon or Double Dragon mode, they drop way more than 3 mithril. In fact, you're encouraged... I always fought Skullmageddon in level 2 on Double Dragon mode because you would get like 10 or 12 pieces of mithril per fight, and that really added up after a while, so, yeah, it's a good idea to fight bosses in the harder difficulties because you get more mithril to upgrade your characters a lot better, and then that makes the higher difficulties a lot more manageable when you're a fully upgraded level 50 mixtape Billy Lee who can just kick all kinds of ass. But, yeah. It's a game that encourages multiple playthroughs, and the combat's so fun that I actually think it's totally fine. You know, I just focused on my fireballs and my power gambits the entire time, and, I beat this game on all its difficulties, you know. I could have done a Double Dragon level 50 playthrough, I suppose, but I wanted to show people what the first playthrough is like and how, just from like 5 or 6 power gambits, just from like 5 or 6 mixtapes, this game is totally manageable in your first playthrough, and it's not over the top hard or impossible. And I know some people might find it kind of awkward when you're first playing because enemies can have lots of beefy health, and if you're not using mixtapes, that's why. But either way, folks, look at the containers in the background. Those guys look awfully familiar. What did Skullmageddon do with my DNA? What did he do with my DNA? I don't know. Roxy, the jetpack enemy, is kind of annoying because they spend most of their time in the air, and when they do actually land on the ground, they're going to do this charge that punches and kicks can't actually reach her. You sort of have to crouch and do a sweep kick, or you have to do a jumping drop kick in order to hurt her, because when she's crouching on the ground like that, you can't really reach her with traditional attacks.
Go our first dragon!
It's the mistranslated mutants, Bimmy and Jammy. Bimmy and Jammy pretty much are just a Bobo. They fight exactly like a Bobo, they have the same amount of health as a Bobo. I wouldn't really call them bosses, they're just kind of unique in that they have the DNA of Billy and Jimmy, so, you know, Bimmy and Jammy. That's actually a reference to one of the older Double Dragon games. If you're familiar with the Angry Video Game Nerd, you probably already know this, but Double Dragon 3 on the NES, they mistranslated Billy to Bimmy. So like when you're reading the opening crawl, it's Bimmy and Jimmy, the Lee brothers, you know? And there was such an infamous translation error. You know, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World actually made a joke about that, because there are these Katayanagi twins that you have to beat up, two of Ramona's evil exes, and their names are mistranslated in the actual video game, and I thought, like, wait, that's not how the name should be, and I was like, oh, wait, they're making a Double Dragon reference, and the Katayanagi twins are basically Double Dragon references all by themselves, so I was just like, oh, of course! So, yeah, pretty infamous translation error. One of the big NES translation errors, you know. Mega Man was filled with that kind of stuff. Mega Man 6. My plans have failed! F-I-I-L-D. F-A-I-L-D. I think I just said F-I when I started it up. I'm an idiot. God! God damn it! Anyway, folks, it's a beat-em-up game. Gotta have an elevator section. Of course you do. Can't have a beat-em-up without an elevator section. But every one of these containers carries like a life, a one-up, so you might want to break them open at some point in case you're getting your ass beat. The one in the top right was obviously TNT, but yeah. As always, no matter the clothing change, with the clothing change, the enemies do get beefier defense, so you will have to definitely use mixtapes, because they're going to be a lot stronger than the Williams you've been fighting in level 1. But for the most part, you know, Williams, Linda, the Shinobi, Shun, just because they're wearing different outfits, they still fight pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is that, like, we're going to be coming up to the Gun Williams, who actually try and shoot at you. And they only have one extra attack that you'll need to watch out for, but it's so easily telegraphed, you'll know when to duck, when to get out of the way. So it's not too bad, but, you know, with a costume change, they will be getting beefier health bars, they will be getting stronger attacks, and oh look, a tapeworm! Remember, punch the hell out of it, and every time you punch it, you get some new kind of collectible. And I just got all the songs. So yeah, that is all of the audio mixtapes in the game. Those are all the stances, all the special abilities. I hope you've been reading the descriptions while we've been listening to the music, because that's how they affect your character in various ways. You know, there's stuff like the healing touch, where if you punch people, you'll actually get a whole bunch of health back. There are some mixtapes where you punch people and they get stunned more easily, which allows you to grab them and make them stop attacking and moving for a little bit. Like that guy, he got stunned. These Williams bring in guns, and when you pick up the gun, you don't use it to shoot people, you just whack people with the gun, and Billy even says, "Pistol whipped!" So you don't have any projectile weapons in Double Dragon. Billy doesn't believe in guns, okay? He uses it to whack people across the head, but that's about it, man. Billy doesn't use guns, and you shouldn't use guns either. They're totally lame. They're not tubular, radical, bodacious, gnarly. Now I'm just reading all the levels in Super Mario World. Particularly the special world, but yeah. These shuns are kind of annoying because when you knock them down, again, they still do their spinneroonie handstand in order to hurt you, but you're surrounded by all these spiky columns that keep opening and closing, and it's just like, ah, stop it, you bastard, stop it.
Ah, I see my clothes didn't slow you down. Very well, we'll soon get to the root of the problem, and I will make you leave me alone.
So this little hidden shop here, when you're going on these collapsing platforms, the last collapsing platform has an arrow that's pointing diagonally downwards, so you see that arrow and you're like, huh, maybe I should stand on this platform a little bit longer. And sure enough, you go to a lower floor where there is a shop. You'll always know that a level has a shop or a tapesmith because when you're in the world map and you're going to your next level, there's going to be the name of the level, there's going to be the time it's been taking you to play this whole entire game, like how long you've been playing. But the other thing that's going to be underneath the level name is going to be shop, tapesmith, or nothing at all. So if you don't see shop or tapesmith under a location name, then you know there's no shop, there's no tapesmith, you're just going to be going through it beating up thugs. But if you see the word shop or the word tapesmith, you know, oh, there's something in here, I gotta look out for it, gotta find it. When you go through doors, they are points of no return. I can't go back the way I came from, so you gotta really keep an eye out. Pay attention. Pay attention. Yes, sir, Bob. One thing that's kind of sucks about shops and the live system, you might have noticed this with the playthrough already, but I always start a level with 2 lives, and only 2 lives. Even though throughout the whole entire game I've been collecting them from garbage cans, and I haven't really been dying all that much, and you'd think that at this point I should have like 9 lives, right? Unfortunately, in Double Dragon Neon, it always resets your life counter every time you go to a new stage. So, when you're in a shop and you're presented with the option to buy like extra lives, because maybe it'll help you out for the rest of the game, keep in mind, this is only for the rest of the level. when you buy lives in a shop, it is only for the rest of the level and it does not carry over for the whole entire game. Your live counter will reset to 2 anytime you go to a new stage, so yeah, that kinda sucks. I wish it was more like Scott Pilgrim or other beat-em-ups where, you know, you worked hard to get those lives, you worked hard not to die, let me keep them to the next level, I mean, come on. Anyway, folks, it's boss time, and oh, Jesus Christ!
Whoa, this is botanical.
Yes, it is botanical. This is Marion 2. Obviously a reference to Little Shop of Horrors and Audrey 2, only named after Billy's girlfriend. You know, Billy, if Marion doesn't work out, Marion 2 is kinda hot. I mean, she's very vegan-friendly. She's good for the Earth, you know. Not so good for humans, but she's good for the Earth. But either way, you can't attack the head, you have to attack all of the tentacle, stump things here, and oh my god. Once you shatter the bulb that's attached to the tentacle, it will unearth one of the monsters that are hiding underneath, such as this T-Rex head that shoots fire lasers. If you hang all the way to the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen, the fire laser will not damage you, but, you know, it still moves its head up and down in the middle, so make sure you're at the very top or the very bottom so you don't get hit by that fire laser. And it's part plant monster, part dinosaur, and part shark. This game is so good. But all you have to do is destroy the bulb, then either the T-Rex head or the shark head will be revealed, and then you destroy those heads until finally the last bit of the plant monster is exposed. Every now and then, Marion 2 herself will be shooting a whole bunch of sludge at you, a whole bunch of plant projectiles, and you have to pay attention to the shadows on the ground to know where you should move and when to dodge roll and stuff. Again, dodge roll is a good invulnerability thing for you, so take advantage of that. But every now and then, Marion 2 is pretty generous. It shoots out a whole bunch of electricity, batteries, it shoots out a whole bunch of soda, and those are full refill sodas too, so not a particularly super hard fight, especially when you get rid of one of the heads and, oh my god. Okay, it drained a lot of my life, but keep in mind, I'm using the power gambit, which makes my defense not as high as it could be. Just, yeah. But when those heads are destroyed, you destroy the main bulb coming out of its throat. And that's it for Marion 2. Sorry, baby. We'll see where Billy ends up next in Part 5. See you then.